And here's what people don't know. This is when you see a billboard and it says, got me $1 million, got me 50,000. Insurance is limited to a certain amount. So when you go after a company, you're not going after that company, really. You're going after the insurance that company has, because it's unbelievably difficult to get companies to pay outside of what the insurance they have out there. Welcome back to Under Oath. Tragedy. The Baltimore bridge collapse. Little background on that. The owner and the manager of the cargo ship Dolly, operated by Singapore-based companies Grace Ocean Private Ltd. And Synergy Marine Pte. Ltd., filed a petition in federal court in Maryland to limit their liability.
LTD is short for limited?
Yes.
Okay.
What they're trying to limit it to is the amount of $43.6 million. Now, where do they get that figure? This is cute. They're basing it on an 1851 maritime law provision that limits the value to the value of the vessel and the amount of the freight it's carrying. So they're saying the vessel and the freight were $43.6 million. So whatever damage this ship caused, we're limited to that.
Outrageous. And there must be some sort of legitimacy to it. These guys don't hire some chump lawyers to go in there and make BS arguments.
Yeah.
So there is at least a chance that this is going to fly. And I can't imagine anything that cries out to be changed more immediately than this.
We know liability is clear. The question is, who's responsible?
Well, it was a mechanical failure.
That's what they say, but they also said this boat had a problem before.
I mean, I've heard that there's an investigation right away to determine whether or not it was a purposeful act. Probably not, right?
Well, because
if it was a terrorist act, it's definitely not going to happen at 1:30 at night. You're going to want to hit that bridge during the daytime.
When I say liability, I'm talking about, was there a problem with the ship or the problem with the people running the ship?
Yeah, well, I think the investigations revealed that the ship lost power, and part of the reason it lost power was some sort of issue with the fuel. The fuel was apparently not very good or contaminated, and it caused the engine to kick and miss, and it took a few minutes for it to start back up, and while it's trying to start back up, it loses complete power, and it's just drifting.
Let's talk about the limitations. $43.6 million. Maybe, if you're lucky, 2% of the total damages that they think they can walk away with. 2%. That's probably the damages are probably $43 million won't even cover 2 to 5% of the damages, and that's what they're trying to sneak away with.
It's outrageous.
Now, what if it's right? What if the law is right?
It's outrageous if it is. I'm assuming that there must be at least an argument to be made, and maybe who are they making the argument to?
But hold on.
What insurance company is involved here? Like what?
I'm not buying.
There can't possibly be lawsuits filed.
I'm not buying this. I think there have been bigger tragedies than this one, and limiting it to this amount is just silly. But here's the problem: you got the World Court. Where are they going to take it to? I mean, for example, let's say this happened outside of England. Maritime law attaches. Now, a lot of times when I say maritime law, people go, "What does that mean?" There are really only two areas of law that you have to be certified in outside of your license. And that's
patent
law and maritime. And that's why,
which, by the way, folks, if you're listening,
is not our specialty.
Two of the most boring areas of law you could possibly hope to get into.
And you have to take extra classes. You have to get it. For example, patent law, you need a degree in some science issue to be able to even take that bar. Now, maritime, I don't know. Maritime, you might be able to take without special classes, but you have to take a special test.
That's true.
Sucks. I'm not taking any more tests.
Yeah, I wouldn't
take any more tests. I've taken enough. But the real issue is what can you do? What can they do? If you're one of these families going, wait a minute, so the bridge people are going to take. I mean, if you're Baltimore and you're going, wait a minute, the bridge is going to cost $150 million, and there's only $43 million. And here's what people don't know: this is when you see a billboard and it says, "Got me $1 million, got me 50,000." Insurance is limited to a certain amount. So when you go after a company, you're not going after that company, really. You're going after the insurance that company has, because it's unbelievably difficult to get companies to pay outside of what the insurance they have out there. So in this situation, you're going, okay, what was the insurance? Well, if they're limiting this amount to 43.6, it's not even a insurance limit, it's a set amount. So how are they going to split that between the $150 million bridge or whatever and the 6 people who died, and not including the people who are injured, because they're,
well,
you know,
if
they
I'm
got
making
claims.
an argument for the victims, right? So the way you would attack it is you would say, all right, yeah, they're trying to use this law, 43.6, but how much insurance did they actually have? Because if they had $100 million of insurance, that means that they knew that that was the foreseeable amount of damage that this giant ship could cause. And they should be stopped from falling back on this 180-year-old law to limit their liability, especially when they knew that their damage is going to be at least high enough to cover whatever insurance policy they had. I can't imagine that this ship has a cap on its insurance of 43.6. I bet you it has $100 million.
I'm not
in
saying
insurance.
that. What I'm saying is most times you can't even discuss the amount of insurance in a courthouse
Yeah, but this is them trying to limit their liability.
based on the law.
This is the company trying to limit their liability.
They're going, based on this law, this is what we're responsible for. We're not making the law up.
Yeah, but when you realize that the law is inadequate and you go and purchase additional insurance because you realize that the law is inadequate, then you should be stopped from relying on the law that
You have
limits
to
your
show
liability.
they believed it was inadequate. You could have a big insurance policy and not believe that this one law is not inaccurate, but you're going to follow the law. You think a federal judge is going to go, you know what?
I'm telling you, I'm going to
specifically,
make the damn argument.
You
I'm not
can
going
make
to just
it.
lay down. I'm certainly not going to just say, have somebody tell me, on the phone, oh, no, you're not going to win. I'm going to go in, I'm going to try. And that's one of the avenues that I'm going to attack.
So you're going to try.
The other avenue is, okay, well, there's 2 companies here. If you're going to limit the liability to a company to 43.6, well, you can do that for the other company so we get to 86. And now maybe I sue people who had cargo on the ship. Whose cargo were you carrying?
Oh.
Because that's what happens when you're suing trucking companies.
We're not done here. You said why the accident happened. Why the accident happened?
Faulty fuel. Sue the guys who brought the fuel.
There you go.
Sue the guys that
the fuel
manufactured
company.
it.
And who probably has the fuel?
You gave us bogus fuel.
Because of bogus fuel.
Those. So any attorney worth his salt is going to keep following the line. You run into a cap on liability like this, which this is unfortunate.
It could be.
It could happen. It could happen that that's the cap. But what you do is you follow the line all the way back as far as you can on any angle you can take, including maybe the captain.
And what about ship maintenance? They're arguing that there's a problem with the ship too. There could be a maintenance issue. In fact, somebody mentioned earlier that there was a problem. I read something, and I don't know if it's accurate or not. I don't want to put this fact out there, but I read that they had a problem in another port. And if they can show that anybody had knowledge of this prior accident,
well,
it's not only that. And
let me jump on that wagon. Let me jump on that wagon with you. Why in the heck are you letting ships pass under this bridge when I have people on it working? If something does go wrong, the only thing that can go wrong when a ship is under a bridge is that the ship hits the bridge. So you don't let anybody go under the bridge when people are working on it. Sorry, this is closed.
We also forgot one other pocket. Workers' comp.
No, you don't want workers' comp.
They don't have a choice.
You don't want workers' comp. You don't want workers' comp.
They have to. They were working. You can't avoid it if they're working, right?
Well, you don't want to limit your liability.
You're not limiting it to workers' comp, but of course you're going to go after those companies later.
Workers' comp is a poor substitute for actual
I'm not saying it's a substitute, but you have to go after workers' comp too normally. In the beginning.
Well, workers' comp, if it's like
all right,
Florida.
Tell everyone what workers' comp is, because you and I are just sitting here like we're arguing because we know.
Okay, so if you're injured on the job, all right, in states that have workers' compensation, you do not have to prove that negligence was the result of your injury. You just have to prove that you were within the course and scope of your employment. You were doing the things that your boss hired you to do, or the things that normally attend with that.
But you have to go after it first. That's the problem.
Well, if you don't go after it first, the defendant can use the fact that you didn't attempt to get workers' comp as a way to mitigate the damages that they have to pay out. So, an example here would be, okay, well, all of these guys had $250,000 worth of workers' compensation insurance available to them.
2 guys.
And none of them went after it. So we get a $250,000 deduction from whatever the jury gives them in terms of an award.
But this would only apply to the 2 people who lived.
Right.
The other 6, unless they had life insurance policies attached to their business. But I don't know if that comes in or out.
Yeah. And do we represent the life insurance companies that have to pay out because of the negligence of the ship? Because they're damaged, right?
Right.
I had to pay out on this claim. I wouldn't have had to pay out on it if your captain hadn't ran his ship under the bridge.
Now we're talking.
Also, what about that column that got hit that caused the bridge to collapse like that? After seeing the bridge collapse, that seems like a pretty important part of the bridge. Can we maybe have extra precautions around that section of the bridge such that
it would survive
if a boat got anywhere close, it would be directed in a different direction?
When we talk about a boat, where this isn't a boat. This is like a 200,000 ton.
It's like a condo on the water.
I mean, this is like getting hit by the Statue of Liberty. I mean, this is a huge,
but it's in water.
Weighted thing.
It's in water.
Yes, but I'm not talking like it's a Boston whaler in concern to this beast.
Yeah, well,
I mean, this is probably, other than a cruise ship, actually, this probably is heavier than a cruise ship.
Well, it absolutely is heavier than a cruise ship.
So this is the largest ship that could possibly hit this bridge. Now,
a lot of people something. There should be something for it to hit before it hits something that causes the bridge to collapse. That's what I'm thinking.
Now, there are a lot of people here who listen to us talk, and we've talked about the money and everything else like that. The sad thing is that you can't. The reason why lawyers talk money is because you can't get anything back other than money. There's no way to go back in time and save a life. So you are going to have to survive and deal with the loss that you suffered from. And companies can't give you your emotions back. They can't put your tears back in your eyes. They can't deal with the loves that you lost. So the only thing you can get is money out of this. So I know people are listening and going, oh, these guys are talking, it's just money. In an injury situation, that's all we can get back for you. They're not you think I give a damn if the CEO of Singapore Inc. over here says, I'm sorry. No, I don't care about them. I don't care about any company who apologizes. Well, it's not going to change
in a way, having to pay out large sums of money is what forces companies to change their behavior.
Do they?
If it turns out they can't take advantage of this law and they are sued for the actual damages, it is likely going to change the way that ship operates. It's likely going to have backup engines from now on.
Have you ever heard of an insurance company going out of business?
Yes.
Like big ones?
Yeah.
Like who?
In bankruptcy. I think Mutual of Omaha will file bankruptcy.
But in the last 5 years, State Farm, the beasts out there, Prudential, all these companies.
A couple of them went out of business when the hurricane rolled through here.
That's a lot. That's not one damage. One thing did not put the insurance company out of business. You're talking about thousands of homes.
One really bad hurricane can. Yeah.
I'm talking about what I've learned is, and this is sick and it's sad, companies don't care. They really don't. The insurance companies don't care. Every time we've gotten a big judgment against something, they haven't changed anything. They haven't done anything. And, sure, they fire some people here or there. They're not going to change their safety. They're just going to take the cost that they put out and increase the cost to the people who are still paying insurance.
Well, yeah. So you sue all of these companies. All the companies said, let's say they settle or they get huge jury verdicts against them. That just means it's going to be that much more expensive to ship on Grace Ocean Private Limited.
Yeah.
They're going to have to raise their shipping price to cover this, and the consumer is going to end up paying it.
Do these guys even get out and say, hey, listen, we're sorry for the victims? I guess they can't say they're sorry because they're admitting liability, right? They use it against them, so it's tough.
Yeah, but is there really a question of liability?
Now, here's damages that people don't even think about. There are businesses on each side of these bridges.
Oh, huge.
That, if I have a sandwich shop, or I have a restaurant, or I have a business, and forget all the shipping that can't be done now because of this. So you're talking, and what was the holdup, on all the ships that slowed their delivery, and what if they needed it, and spoilage and everything else you're dealing with. I mean, the damages in this case are just monumental. And yes, of course, these guys go in. The first thing they do is try to limit their liability, and it was fast too. I mean, these lawsuits cannot be filed that fast.
Who are they making this argument against? Like who's already suing them?
Nobody yet.
So they're just going for like a declaratory action, kind of. Hey, judge, we just want everybody out in the world to know that when it's time to sue us, we've already put the $43.6 million in account. You guys divvy it up however you want.
Now, I want to get back to the divvying stuff. People don't understand. Let's say 5 people are in an accident, and the total insurance is $100,000. It means that these 5 people, whether they have representation or not, are all going to fight for their piece of this $100,000. Now, if they limit it to 43, that means everybody involved, every company, the economic damages, the bridge replacement, the people who lost their lives, everybody else is going to be fighting for pieces.
Interruption of your business.
I mean, the bridge alone, I mean, you're going to say, well, what is a life worth? And then they're going to get actuaries and people like that coming in going, well, this guy's life was worth $200,000, and emotionally,
I mean, it's got to be at least $3 or $4 million per life, right? At minimum.
We have discovered in today's world, a life is worth a lot more. You've seen some of these verdicts that these runaway juries have given, where they've given and this doesn't happen a lot, but when you're going, for example, the case where these people suffered emotional damages in Texas because of some press reports. These guys got like $100, $200, $300 million for feelings being hurt. Not a life lost, but feelings. So could you imagine a jury, you get in front of a jury, they're going to go, we want them to pay $1 billion. So a jury could give a stupid amount in a case like this. So I wouldn't think that you could limit to $3 million, $4 million. But the issue is going to be
but you're going to have to negotiate with everybody else who wants a piece of that pie.
So when the insurance company goes, okay, let's say this company goes, all right, well, here's $43 million. It's in the court. You fight for it. We don't even have to argue it. We don't even have to try the case anymore. We're not even going to argue.
We're just admitting liability. Here's our damages.
And that's what insurance companies do when there's a limited amount. Like $25,000 is huge. They just throw that money.
Yeah, they call it a global settlement. They let everybody know who's involved. And the insurance company, what they'll do at these, because I've seen it happen. You have too, Jeff.
Yeah.
They'll, even if somebody isn't there and they're not represented, they still hold a little bit back for that one person just in case they show up. Sometimes it's as little as $500, so people don't typically bitch about it. But, that's exactly what's going to happen here with a pot of $43.6 million. You're going to have billions of dollars worth of claims coming for it. So everybody's going to have to take 3% of their claim, 5% of their claim.
How do you I can't even imagine how you could do something like that. You can't, I mean, normally what happens is we go to this big mediation and everything else like that, but mediating over $43 million seems like just the most impossible thing to do. I mean, I can't see that. I honestly can't see that happening in a week, 2 weeks. I mean, that has to be.
And there's no way attorneys for the number. I mean, there's going to be thousands of plaintiffs.
Right.
And there's no way thousands of attorneys are going to agree on how to split 43.6.
So
they're going to have to appoint somebody. Remember what they did with the tragedy here in Orlando, the Pulse? There was money, and they appointed like a panel of 3 people, and they're the ones who decided, okay, here are all the people, and here's the amount of money you get.
How do you even do that? I can't even imagine. And that amount is not as bad as this one.
That amount was voluntary. Wasn't that from donations from people around the world?
Yep. And I don't see, I don't know if they have a GoFundMe on this one. I mean, people don't care about bridge accidents.
They probably care about the individual construction.
It wasn't
workers.
Like the 9/11 fund that was put out. But, I mean, and that was a monstrous fund. There was a lot of money that people collected on that. I just don't know how you do it. And with something like this,
So what do you think about holding the country responsible?
No, they can't.
We can't hold Sri Lanka. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Singapore?
No. Not even close on the map. Not even close.
Why not?
You can't hold a country responsible
for
its company because it's the world law. The world courts won't allow it.
We made Germany pay out reparations.
No, there was a difference. That was part of the war deal we cut with Germany.
Listen, Sri Lanka, Singapore, you damaged our country to the tune of probably billions of dollars.
Do me a favor. How much did Saudi Arabia pay for 9/11?
Did we try to take any action against
We
them?
didn't even think about it because we're
Okay.
not going to, because we don't want
We
Saudi
don't want Saudi
Arabia
Arabia.
to hold the U.S. responsible if Coca-Cola does something.
Well, do we care about Singapore the same way we care about Saudi
We
Arabia?
care about every country because we do not want to set
do not
precedent.
care about
we
every
do.
country. Stop.
We are not going to go after. Oh, come on, like Cuba. There are other countries who've done us really wrong. This is a BS tragedy.
Over $100,000 donated
That's
so
nothing.
far.
There's 100,000 donated. That won't cover the injuries on one of the dudes who got hurt on the bridge. It's a horrible tragedy. There's really nothing you can do about it. You hope that the funds are there to take care of the families. The city of Baltimore, the state of Maryland should not have to suffer huge budget cuts because they're going to have to replace this bridge now, because the losses are going to go all across the state if it doesn't come back, because now they have to raise the extra 200 or billion to redo these bridges. And that money is going to come out of social programs. It's going to come off schools. I mean, this effect is going to hurt the whole state of Maryland, not just the city of Baltimore. So, let's hope something
we
can
should
happen.
revoke Singapore's ability to do business in the United States until they make good on all those damages.
Not going to happen.